So finally, and it's kind of one of the things that I've been working on most recently, is the lighting and the overall look and vibe and feel in here. Um, I think a lot of people overlook the lighting aspect of a theater unless you're getting into like the really, really extravagant ones. But you know, every theater can benefit from more than just your standard builder grade lighting. So in this room, the lights in the ceiling were just typical builder can lighting. Horribly implemented. There's like 2 rows of 3 from here, and there, and they're not even the same distance from the side walls. They're skewed this way. And it's just like, flood the room as bright as you can. So the first thing I did, like right away when we moved in here, is I bought a Lutron smart dimmer switch for the wall panel, and it has a little remote, and that way at least I could dim the lights and not have to have them all the way on all the time when I was down here. So the Lutron switch was a huge step in the right direction, just to not have to have them all the way on all the time, be able to dim them. Plus it had a remote that we could, when we sat over here, we could turn the lights off, from the seated position instead of having to get up and go to the switch to turn them off when it was time to hit play. Again, all about that kind of experience. But then about a year or so ago, I got tired of just the general crappy cans that filled the room with light. So I bought a package of these. They're replacements. So you can just snap them into the existing can, and they can either point straight down. They give you a little bit of adjustability on the directionality of the light, but these are also very much a floodlight. But they're really super easy. You just screw this in where the light bulb would go, connect it, snap them in, aim them, and you're set. You're good. So these were a huge improvement, but still not quite what I was looking for. So I took these out. I'm gonna use those upstairs in the living room. So not a total waste, but I got just basically the same idea, but these they offer, the light itself is much more of a spotlight than a floodlight, which helps. And the control over the directionality of these is much greater. So you can aim them almost 90 degrees to the side. So you could really see how nice it is in here to be able to just point. I've always liked like lighting that highlights the walls and doesn't just flood the room. So the artwork panels over here have a light highlighting them, and this one is kind of aimed at the wood slats over here, and this one, as is this one. And so it's just like, it's more accent lighting than flood lighting. And to me, that is, again, part of a great experience and a vibe. When you walk in the room, it's just a lot more comfortable. It's more cozy than a warehouse. The final piece has been, and I never thought I would be this guy, but I've become this guy. I've got these LED strip lights here, and I need to do a couple more above and below the screen. I just need to get more parts and more pieces, but I tried several different LED strip lights, and they're so hit or miss. I tried some from Govee, which connect with Home Assistant. So, that's kind of the thing. With Home Assistant, there are so many different, more of the DIY level products you can integrate into Home Assistant and get those custom installer quality effects. So the first LED strips I tried in here were from Govee, and they had a nice, smooth, diffuse light. So it looked like one continuous light, but the only ones they sell that I could cut to the length that I wanted, so that it would go floorboard, baseboard to ceiling. The only ones you can get that were cuttable were Bluetooth, and they weren't reliable connections to Home Assistant because they were Bluetooth and not Wi-Fi. So almost always we would come in here, they would turn on just fine, we'd come down, we'd sit down, we'd pick what we wanted to watch, we'd hit play, all the lights would go down except for one strip light. And so now I'm on my phone and I'm trying to find which one it is and turn it off and get it to wake up and connect and then turn it off, and they became more of a hassle than they were worth. So we swapped out the Govee. I pulled those out and I replaced them with some Philips Hue lights because we use a lot of Hue bulbs throughout the rest of the house, and they've always been rock solid when it comes to staying connected and reacting when you ask them to do something, and they're always available. And I've always been really impressed with the Hue lights, and you pay for them. They're definitely not cheap. But I put some Hue lights in here, the LED strips, and even with 3 layers of the diffusion channel in front of them, you could still see each individual LED, and it didn't look like a nice strip of light, or, you know, it looked cheesy because you could see every element. So finally, with some help from Shane Lee, he recommended BTF lighting from Amazon. And they're the cheapest lights that I purchased, but they're also DIY. So you buy the LED strip, you buy any extension power that you need, you buy the controller, and you buy a power supply, and you put them all together. You know, it can involve a little soldering and wiring and cabling, but they look fantastic. They're really reliable in terms of staying connected to your system, your network. They're really, really nice. I've been really happy. I bought a controller that is Zigbee, which again connects with Home Assistant. So you can change color, brightness. They're all on Home Assistant, so they're dialed into the scenes, and they just work. All of the power and controller are actually behind the screen over here in this corner. And so it's right there. So I just need to get a couple more. I put in the aluminum channel already above and below the screen. I just need to get some more of the LED strips and another controller so I can put above and below. But yeah, the BTF lighting strips, there's the learning curve of figuring out, you know, not knowing if you're gonna have the right things. I sent a couple different controllers back. I ended up with the Zigbee controller, which has just been super simple with HomeKit, or with Home Assistant, and it actually shows up in HomeKit as well, so I can use our HomePod upstairs if I want to turn them on for whatever reason. But yeah, as far as the layout and design of the theater, it's pretty much there. Just a few finishing touches.